I've had kind of two big revelations in the last couple weeks. One is related to self-amusement, and that should touch on what you're talking about. I also think it'll touch on your stuff a little bit as well. One is about self-amusement, and the other is about sort of stepping it up to dealing with the difference between the really hot girls versus the kind of like in-betweenish girls. Like throughout the last 12 years, I've pulled a lot of really hot girls. I've also pulled a lot of girls that were cute. Like, I've never been the type to be like, I'll just go with a girl who's ugly just for the practice, but I have had a lot of girls as I was coming up that were cute at the time but weren't necessarily like dime pieces, right? I actually hate that word, but whatever. Everybody uses it, so whatever. But I've always kind of said that there's no real difference. I said like a girl's a girl, game is game, the principles still apply. But the fact of the matter is there are some subtle little differences. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that transition to going after the very hottest girls, both in terms of the actual technical differences, and then also in terms of like the internal differences that the mentalities you need to have and the mindset you kind of need to have for that. All right, and I think a lot of that does come down to self-amusement. I was doing an exercise on boot camp this weekend, which is something that Tyler suggested to me, and he's probably suggested to a lot of people various times to do, which is approaching without talking. I don't know, has anybody ever done that as an exercise? Has anybody approached without talking? A few people? How did you guys find that?
Amazing.
Amazing? Amazing? Fun? Cool. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so everybody got good reactions. How many people pulled from it? Pulled from it and fucked a girl off of it? Okay, cool. So it's amazing, but did you?
No.
Okay. Hand goes up?
No. Right now, no. Okay, so when you approach without talking, just real quick, when do you start talking? After she laughs? Like what? Like percentage?
That's a very good question, because it completely gets to the heart of it, and the answer is you don't. Ever. Because the point of that exercise is not to make it work. Do you understand that? The reason for doing that exercise isn't because that's good game. The reason to do that exercise is to release the idea of trying to make it work. All right, I had a set last night where this girl literally for half an hour was telling me, like, she was giggling at every like time I would look at her, and every time I would like move my body in any way, she would giggle and like touch me and like feel me up. But she was also like, please talk to me. Talk, just open your mouth. Just, I like you, just please open your mouth. Just talk to me. I'll give you my number, just talk to me, right? And the whole time I just refused to talk. It was one of the most fun sets I've ever run in my entire life. It was crazy. It was super crazy. In fact, at some point she'd be like, just talk. I'd be like, just grab her and drag her around the club. I just like, because as long as I'm dragging her, she can't tell me to talk and she can't object, so I just drag her for a while, like do circles around the club, stop in a place, like look at her for a minute, go drag her again, spin her around. It's crazy. I didn't end up getting her number. I could have very, very easily. She's like, please just like, seriously, speak to me. I really like you. I don't do this for anybody. I really like you. Let me get your number. I'll give you mine, whatever. But the point was, the reason I was doing the exercise wasn't for her. Okay, that's the important thing. The reason I was doing the exercise wasn't for her. It was for my own learning experience. You understand that? So there are a lot of things you can learn in pickup that are a technique. That's like, say XYZ line, or drop a neg, or do a back turn. And all of those things can be really effective. All of those things probably do work. Well, not all of them, because there are some dumb techniques out there, some techniques that don't work. But a lot of the stuff you've heard, it all works. But it works right up to the point where you try and do it to make it work. This is something we learned in around 2003, 2004, when we're doing can game routines. If any of you guys have read the book The Game, a lot of the stuff that was in the book The Game was around this when we were doing very technical sort of things. And a funny thing would happen. We'd come up with a story that we thought was like the most amazing pickup story. And we'd be so excited about it, we'd go out there and we'd go try and say it. And we'd say it to a girl, and it would work so well. And the girl would giggle and touch us and laugh, and it'd be amazing. It'd be on. And we'd be like, yeah, this story rocks. This story's awesome. And then we'd go do it on another girl. And it would work really well. In fact, it'd probably work even better, because this time now, not only was it a good story, we're like polished, we've told it before, we're comedically good on our timing, got a little bit better. And they're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Fucking, I'm going to fuck every girl now. I know exactly how to do it. I found out like the ABC pattern to how to fuck a girl. Then you go try it again, it still works, but it's just kind of like not quite right. It's a little off. And then you try it again and again, and after like the 10th time you do it, you've said the words so many times, you're not even interested in the words anymore. You're not even enjoying telling the story for its own sake anymore. And then all of a sudden, this routine, this line that was so good, it doesn't work anymore. Like in fact, as soon as you're having a normal conversation, as soon as you're like, hey, let me use that routine, you use it and it just kills the set. Like not only does it not work the way it used to, it actually kills whatever you're doing well. And the reason is because it's actually gone from being your way of self-amusing, your way of offering value to the interaction, to you trying to push a button, to you trying to like twist her arm and manipulate her into liking you. Okay? This is a quote that I said to a girl who I ended up actually sleeping with last night, which I really liked. I said, how did it go? I will not try and manipulate or let's see, no. I will not make you do anything against your will tonight at all, or anything you don't want to do, except perhaps like me. That's it. That's the only thing I'll make you do against your will is like me. Right? And I actually like that because if you're trying to be manipulative, if you're trying to get a reaction from a girl, then it's not going to work. You're going to be coming from a needy place. You're going to be coming try hard. You're going to be coming to it with too much invested. And girls will see that in subtle ways. She'll see that in terms of when she talks to you, do you snap back and look at her a little too fast? Or do you try a little too hard to tell your story? Or say you're telling a story that you think is really good and you get interrupted in the middle of it, right? Do you try and hammer on it and be like, no, I have to get that story out because this is my story that works? Or do you just drop it and go with the vibe, right? And then conversely, that can become a technique. Conversely, it can become a technique that you drop the story and go with the vibe, and then you never tell the story even when you want to tell it, right? Even when you genuinely just want to express yourself, now you're censoring yourself that way, right? And so there's no such thing as the right thing to do. Sometimes it's right to continue it, sometimes it's right not to continue that story. It just depends what you really feel like in your heart, in your soul, what you would do if you already knew you had the girl, what you would do if she was already your girlfriend. Those are two great frames to use. Those are two of the frames that I basically take from the start with a girl. What would I do if she was already my girlfriend? What would I do if this was the girl that no matter what I did, she would be calling me tonight for sex? No matter what I did, I couldn't lose it, and my only job is just to have fun with the interaction. What would I do then? And if you can do that, you're kind of on the right page. You're kind of going the right place. Another way that helps you too is if you walk up to a girl and just from the first moment, act as if she's already your girlfriend. That'll be huge, right? In fact, one of my best openers, which doesn't even make sense to a stranger, I just kind of tilt my head like, hey, you, right? Which is exactly the way I will meet a girl I've already slept with for a date. If I've already slept with a girl I'm going on a date with, I just walk up to her like, hey, you, come here. And that actually works as an open on a total stranger. And it's actually very low-key. It's incredibly low-key opener. It shouldn't get attention. It shouldn't open. But because you believe it'll open, it actually will open a significant amount of the time. So it's not such a bad technique there. Okay, so the idea here again is you want to be self-amusing and not trying for a reaction, no matter what you're doing. As soon as you're trying for a reaction, you won't get it. And this happens more than anything with hot girls, right? The hotter the girl is, the more she's getting approached, the more she's getting hit up, and the more guys can't be normal with her. That's the single biggest thing that happens with hot girls. Guys can't be normal with her anymore. All right? And the other thing that happens with them is guys cling to them. Guys cling to them and hang on to them and will not let them go. So the big revelation for me, I came out from, I was in Boston and I flew out to LA, and the girls in LA, you guys are very lucky, they're a little hotter than the girls in Boston. Sorry for any Boston girls who end up ever watching this video, but you're ugly. Sorry. But so I came out here and the girls are a bit hotter here, and the girls are also, they're in a different sort of value matrix out here, especially we went to Lure on Thursday, which is an amazing club in Hollywood. But it's a club where people have put a lot of effort into getting in, right? They put effort into knowing the right people, dressing up nice, getting past the door. There's a certain sort of value dynamic where the girls are like, I'm hot and I know it, right? And they just like storm through the club, and they'll stop for you if you really come good, but a lot of times they'll just keep walking like, no, I'm hot, whatever, right? It's a different sort of value dynamic. And the interesting thing is, once you get them to stop, especially it's harder to get them to stop, the most natural thing to do, the most natural thing you want to do is you want to keep them there. You want to keep them in that interaction and keep them getting to know you and keep like forcing it on them. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I think intermediate guys make in pickup. Okay, if you guys are familiar with the term push-pull, right? Everybody knows that term. The term's been around so long, I don't even know which direction's the push and which direction's the pull, because I've heard it both ways and it makes sense both ways. But I'm gonna say, just for sake of this discussion, pushing is pushing to move the set forward, whereas pulling is pulling away. That's the way I'm gonna define that for now, okay, in terms of push-pull. And what I see from guys over and over and over again, intermediate guys, beginners, their issue is no push at all. That's sort of where you start as a beginner. As a beginner, you just don't push. You just stay there, like, in the conversation, you have chit-chat, and it never fucking goes anywhere because you don't give it a chance to go anywhere, right? You don't show them you have a penis. You don't make a strong statement of intent or a strong statement of disinterest. You're just, like, inert. You're like, I don't know, like one of those chemicals that doesn't react to anything. You're like styrofoam, okay? You just don't react. You're just not anything. That's beginner. All right, then intermediate, what it is you learn to show intent. You learn to say, I like you. And you learn to give eye contact, and you learn to, like, zone in on them and give them that, like, that look, right? You give them the, like, sex look, and then when they're on, they give you the sex look back, and then it goes somewhere sometimes, right? At least you get, like, a make out or you get to grope them a little bit, so that's always fun. All right, but that's the intermediate. But the intermediate mistake, to me, is you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing because that's what you learned works, right? You started out never pushing. Never ever pushing, and then you learn to push. And when you learn to push, you got the odd girl who liked you. You got the odd girl who was into you because she was just down for that night or she liked your particular look and it just happened, right? And so you learn that pushing gets you somewhere. But the problem with pushing is inherently sort of value taking, okay? I look at an interaction as two separate categories of thing that you're doing. One is you're building your own value, or you're offering value to the interaction, and the other is you're capitalizing on the value you have in the interaction. So I view the interaction as a balance between the two. And you need to kind of have a sense for where you're at with it, right? If you know that you have a lot of value, if you know that the girl is very into you, is very invested in the conversation, is very interested in what's going on, likes what you have to say, is participating herself, that's a time when you should be escalating in some way because you have leverage. Okay? So it's a process of you build up your leverage, then you capitalize on it. And then when you capitalize on it, you've kind of destroyed some of your capital. Right? Because a girl doesn't want to be at fault for what happens. She doesn't want to appear slutty. And so every time you're escalating, you're kind of making her uncomfortable because you're making her go down that path to being slutty. Okay? So then when that happens, then you need to take some time, relax, chill out, and build up that value again, and then you can hit it again. All right? A great example of this, by the way, I'll get back to the hot girl thing and all that. A great example of this, though, is text game. How many people here hate text game? Almost everybody. How many people here love text game? How many people here think they're the champion at text? Okay, you guys, I want to talk to you after this, so we'll swap notes. Seriously, I'm working so hard on my text game. It's a fucking mindfuck. I hate it. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting much better at it, but it's my least favorite part of the game. But the thing with text game is this. If you send as a first text message to a girl that you ran kind of a mediocre set with, you send, what are you doing tonight, want to meet up at 7? Are you going to get a response to that text most of the time?
Nope.
Why not? Everybody knows inherently that you're not going to get a response because everybody's done it and not gotten the response.
Too forceful.
Huh?
Too forceful. There's not enough value for her.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Too forceful, giving away too much, kind of, yeah. What were you saying?
I would define it as you're trying to, the compliance isn't there to make her do something like that, yes.
That's a good way of looking at it. That's a very good way, because like I just said, you're building up capital and using it, right? So compliance isn't there. That's a good way of looking at it. Basically, if you throw a text like that, you're asking for everything and giving nothing, right? You're asking, meet up with me, commit hours of your life to seeing me in a situation where we're one-on-one, where it's potentially dangerous for you as a man to a woman, and I'm not offering you anything because I haven't said anything interesting. I haven't given you any like reason to set me apart from other guys. I haven't made this fun for you, right? So that's another way of looking at it too. You can look at it as you're building up your fun, and then you're capitalizing by making them uncomfortable. And you build up their fun, which makes them comfortable, and you capitalize by making them uncomfortable, right? Every time you escalate, you're making it uncomfortable for the girl. Every time you just chill back and don't do anything and have fun, you're making it perfectly comfortable for the girl. That's why you see these guys that, like these chody guys sometimes that you know will never get laid, but they can open every set like butter. Like every girl will talk to them and will just tolerate them because they're completely safe. So even if they're not offering that much fun, they're no risk. They're no threat to the girl, so they don't make the girl uncomfortable, right? And then that's why when you become intermediate, sometimes you will get those harsh blowouts. Sometimes you'll actually go in and the girl will be like, fuck off, loser. Fuck off, asshole. You're like, wait, when I sucked, the girls never said that to me. They were nice to me. Why'd girls stop being nice, right? Yeah, girls stopped being nice, but girls also started sleeping with you sometimes. So be happy for that. So that's the thing there. The more that you're pushing for it, the more that you're capitalizing on what you have available, and the more you're trying to escalate, the more you need to actually be fun and actually offer value and build value, okay? And now, these girls, the hot girls that are used to having guys into them, they're used to guys. They're used to being hit on by a lot of these intermediate guys that are just all push, 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 push. And they know they can have those guys. Do you think for a second, any really, really hot girl wonders if she can have sex tonight? For even 1 second? No, not at all. Do you know why? Because she wakes up and she has, I don't know where I heard this. I think I just got this off a post off RSD Nation somewhere. But it was a good concept. Hot girl wakes up in the morning, she has like 5 texts from guys wishing her good morning in some lame chody way. Probably every single day. 5's probably conservative. Really, 5's conservative. She goes out, if she gives her number away, she's like, good morning, sunshine. Hey, sexy. What are you up to today? Right? Whatever. It's like random smiley face out of nowhere. Just whatever she gets, right? She like little smiles of recognition, like, I've sent that. I've sent that. And none of those are even that bad, by the way. There are a lot of worse texts that they get. They get like, oh my God, what did I heard her go last night. She got a text from a guy that said, via a text, said sometimes there are opportunities in life that are just worth pursuing regardless of how difficult it might be or if it's awkward or doesn't seem right. I just want you to know that I really feel like throughout my entire life, you were probably one of those opportunities. In a text. Now the worst part of this is a guy she had like seen like 3 times ever in her life, and she hasn't seen him for 6 years. Okay, so just to give you some, and this girl was hot. I mean, she was a girl I was talking to, so she was a girl that was within the realm of like hitting the radar, right? But she wasn't even that hot. She was a bit older. She was probably like early 30s and like had been really, really hot in the 20s and was still hot, but anyway. But this is the kind of stuff they're getting hit up with. It's constant, it's continual. Chris Rock even has a joke. He's like, every time a guy opens his mouth to a girl, he's like, would you like a little dick? Would you like a little dick? Right? They're getting this over and over again. So they're not wondering if they can get laid. And they're not that interested in just sex per se because they can get that. Okay? What they want is the sex that will trigger their emotional validation, the sex that they feel they had to earn, the sex that they feel is worthy of them. Okay? And what kind of guy is going to get that? I think Tyler's touched on this a little bit. He basically said the kind of behavior that will get you laid is basically acting like you have a harem. Acting like you really legitimately don't on any level give a shit about the girl at all. If you do that, you get laid. As soon as it looks like you care, as soon as it looks like you give a shit, now all of a sudden you won't. Which is really fucked up. It's really, really fucked up because it basically means the world is designed for every girl to get fucked over by scumbags constantly. If you think about it, right? That's essentially what it is. Basically, a girl will sleep with you if you're the type of guy that will fuck her over and not care. It's pretty fucked up. Yeah, right? Pretty fucked up. You guys should actually take that to heart, though. Take that to heart in the sense that you really should emulate that behavior without emulating that person. All right, what I always tell girls, I say this to them overtly, if girls ever ask me, like, why are you so confident, what makes you so special, like, who the fuck do you think you are, that kind of stuff. I won't say this on a cold approach, but when I'm like on a date, if I'm like more intimate with a girl, I'll say, look, there's 2 types of guys in the world. There's the type of guy that would do anything for a girl. There's the type of guy that would like bring you flowers, buy you a car, he'd be there for you constantly, any need you could possibly have. He would be the sweetest, nicest person, and he would do anything to make your life better. He would like quit his job to do like nice things for you, or like he'd give you all the money he worked for to like put you through school. He would do anything and everything for you. He'd be an amazing positive influence in your life. That guy that would do anything for you has no idea how to trigger any sort of emotion in a girl whatsoever. And that's why he'll do anything, is because he has to. Because he knows that without doing that, there is no chance that he will ever get a girl. And because of that, you will be bored by that guy, you will disdain that guy, you will hate that guy, and you will never ever have any respect for that guy. There's the second kind of guy who grew up and for whatever reason, he could always get girls. He had girls like trying to sleep with him in high school, girls trying to sleep with him in college. Maybe he was like the guy that in high school the parties were all thrown at his house. Maybe he was rich and he just like was around like a particular class of girl and just got used to it. Maybe he was just really attractive and girls just came to him. But this guy has zero appreciation for it. Zero appreciation. He will do nothing for a girl. Nothing ever. All he will do for a girl is ruin her life. Right? All he will do is be a leech that just basically fucks her and leaves and will ruin her life. That's type number 2 guy. All right? And then there's the very rare type of guy, which is the type of guy that everybody in this room has the possibility to be, which is the guy who knows how to do both and has actually found their own balance because they're actually conscious. They're actually conscious of who they want to be, and rather than becoming someone based on habit and circumstance, they've actually decided what the best way to be is. All right? Also, a lot of guys, the reason I love the pickup community and the reason that I find so much value in what I do is I like to say that I'm saving women from the curse of the douche, basically. Right? I'm helping guys that actually should get girls, right? And then I do work with some douches here and there too. But for the most part, teaching the guys that actually could bring value to a girl's life to become the guys who do get into their life. But it's so hard to do because as soon as you care, you fuck it up. All right? So the big thing that I've noticed, what's that?
Do you want me to ask this?
You can ask right now.
I was just going to say, one thing that when I'm dating and I'm not in a relationship, I have that abundance, and girls become attracted, but then when I get in a relationship, I don't usually do the, 3 girlfriends. I'm sure maybe I could figure it out, but I'm loyal, I don't date other girls, but I think somehow it, leaks in, and there you start those behaviors where you do care, and it kind of fucks it up. So I'm like, what's the solution? I was wondering what you can say about that.
That's a really good question. Were you at Hot Seat last weekend?
I was.
I feel like Tyler talked about that. At least I think he did. But anyway, that's all right. It's a really good question. That's an excellent question, and it touches on some other topics. Mostly I'm taking questions towards the end, but he's a former student of mine, so he gets special. No. Also, I knew it was going to be a good question because I know you go out. Okay, that's a really good question as well. And that, as far as that question, you have to realize that what attracts girls is not necessarily your cold approach skills. What is cold approach? What is doing a cold approach pickup? Doing a cold approach pickup is tricking a girl into spending time with you to get to know you. So what it is, basically, right? It's a girl going about her life. She has other things to do. She has no reason to talk to you. You're just a normal next guy, right? All these techniques like go in loud and assertive and bust through the wall, or do the 2 seconds, false time constraint, I have to go see my friend, or venue changing them real fast to sit down so it appears like you're locked into the group, or like leaning against a wall so it looks like you're more comfortable than her. These are all techniques to get her to stay for 30 more seconds off the approach, then 4 more minutes off that 30 seconds, and then 15 more minutes off of that, and then give you a phone number or hang out with you for the rest of the day, right? It's basically intended to buy you time. But if you have perfect pickup technique and nothing to talk about as a man, nothing to share from your own personality, then what you'll do is you'll trick the girl into spending time with you for a little bit, and then you can keep tricking her into spending a little more time with you, maybe, but eventually you're not going to trigger that attraction, you're not going to trigger getting her chasing you, you're not going to trigger that actual emotion in her, you'll just be that guy that has these long drawn out sets of nothing. Do you see where I'm coming from on that? It'll be this hollow, empty set. That happened to me actually at one point in my pickup career, because I was going out so much and doing so few other things that the only thing I really had, like they say what's on your mind to a girl, say whatever you feel like saying. The only thing I really wanted to talk about with a girl was pickup, because that was the thing I was interested in, right? And that's not really a great way to run a set. Is just talk to a girl about picking up girls all the time. I guess you could do it. I mean, I guess it could be done. But yeah, you become this like hollow shell if that's all you do. So realize what pickup techniques are. Also realize cold approach is not a natural phenomenon. It's not a natural phenomenon. It's not meant to exist, okay? The reason cold approach exists is because we live in a tribe of 6 billion people and nobody knows anybody. That's why cold approach exists, right? Because there's so much randomness and everybody's a stranger to everybody else that you can go in and when you talk to someone, you can be anybody you want to be, right? You can walk in. When we lived in small tribes, it was very clear who was the chief, who was like the top warrior who brought the food, and who was like the lame, useless guy in the tribe, who just like mooched off everybody and everybody wished he was dead. All right? It's very clear. Now that's not clear. Right? Now nobody knows anybody, nobody knows who you are. So if you walk in, you act like you're the chief, people will take you as the chief. If you walk in like you're like alpha male of whatever kind, people will take you as that. Okay? That's why cold approach works, is because we're tricking the system into establishing those roles. Now, if you trick the system into believe, like you trick the girls like RAS into believing you're the chief, but then as she gets to know you, she finds out that you're the fucking like little guy in the tribe that everybody wishes was dead, she's gonna get turned off, right? So you bought yourself time, you bought yourself that 5 minutes to convey your personality, but if you have nothing cool going on in your life, nothing cool to convey, it's not gonna work anyway. The whole premise of pickup is this. We all have, like for me, I'll just use me as an example, I have 30 years of life experience. I've been on this planet for 30 years. I have had a set of experiences that nobody else in this room has had. So if I tell you guys a story from my life, I'm sharing a life experience you will never have. I'm bringing years of my life into yours. That's offering you value, that's offering life experience and learning. Even if I told you the same story that you've heard from someone else, even if I told you the exact same story that Nick just told you, if I took a segment that we did together, he would have told it to you in different words, from a different perspective, with a different emphasis. And that would reflect to you his value system and his philosophies. Whereas the way I tell a story will reflect my value system and my philosophies, and it will be different. Right? So every time I open my mouth, I am offering you a unique perspective, a unique set of beliefs, a unique way of looking at the world and walking through the world that you will never have again and you have never had before. That's what offering value is, and that's where your value comes from. I'm going to go into that in a little more depth in a minute. But so the thing, to go back to your question, how do you keep a girl when you're not seeing 10 different girls, when you don't have that crazy abundance? The way that you keep that girl is by still having other things in your life that you're more into than that girl. By just being an interesting person in general and continuing to grow and continuing to be a badass. Right? A great example that Tyler actually said this on the boot camp when he brought up that same topic. He said, do you think like Michelle Obama thinks like Barack Obama is not gangster enough because he's not seeing other girls? Do you think she's losing interest in him, losing validation from being with him because he doesn't have like a harem of 6 girls that we know of at least, right? The fact of the matter is no, because he's still like one of the most powerful men on the planet. He's still on his purpose. He's still like moving things forward. He's still doing his thing, right? So most guys don't get laid off cold approach. Most men will walk through their lives throughout the entire 80 years or whatever they live, and they will never, ever, ever get laid from a girl off a cold approach. All right? That doesn't mean nobody ever gets laid, but most of them, they'll meet them through a social circle or through like they're in a class together or they work together or they happen to be just thrown into a situation where they spend a lot of time together and it just happens. That's how it mostly goes down. You should realize that. Most sex does not occur off of cold approaches because cold approach is fucking difficult. It's like fucking walking on a tightrope, like a high wire act. All right, you have to like balance everything and make sure you never fall. And if you ever fall, you can't even get back up there. You have to go freaking find a new tightrope. Okay, it's crazy. It's not easy, and it's not meant to happen that way. So that's not how it usually does happen. Usually, it just happens because the guy's a cool guy. And there are plenty of cool guys out there. I'm sorry to break this to you guys too. There are plenty of cool guys out there that are so cool that you're not going to steal their girls. Very sorry. And they may not even have like great cold approach skills. They might not. Okay? Now, what do cold approach skills get us within the scope of a relationship? They do teach us a lot of things. What do they teach us? They teach us the female psychology. They teach us to understand how to provoke reactions from girls, how to spin reactions around, how to reframe. Right? Learning to reframe is a huge, huge, huge thing to do in a relationship. If a girl brings a fight to you, and you can immediately reframe it as the way you're bringing this to me is just wrong. Right? That's what I do with my MLTR speech, right? It's like, we should be together and exclusively us. I'm like, you know what? The way you brought this to me, you just brought me an ultimatum. That's fucked up. That's wrong. right? So by instantly reframing it, now they're the bad guy, now you put them on the defensive, that's a powerful technique in a relationship. So that's something we learn from cold approach. It's a technique, it's understanding the social matrix, and that helps us be that cool guy in a relationship. It definitely does, right? The idea of abundance in our head does help, right? That's another thing we learn from cold approach. If we know that we can get a girl, and I know it's hard when you're not actually doing it, but you do deep down still know that you can, right? So that's another part. The idea of constantly improving ourselves, if we get that from cold approach, actually becoming indifferent to everything. Becoming indifferent to everything, right? That's huge. The ability when a girl's like screaming at you to just look her in the face and just be like, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, slap me, bitch. That's funny. He did that last weekend, yes. But the ability to be indifferent is absolutely huge. Sure. You get better at sex. You learn the dance of physical escalation. You learn to be better in bed. You learn how to touch a girl properly. You learn like the rhythm that a girl kind of relates on, right? You learn how to read indicators of interest and indicators of disinterest. You learn how to tell when a girl's getting turned off so you can stop doing that thing. You learn how to tell when a girl's getting turned on so you can do that thing, right? So you do all these things, you get sharper, it helps you, but there are lots of guys who have never done a cold approach who have these things, or who have some level of them, or they have enough value or enough being on their path in a different way that it works, that they don't need to keep doing cold approach. Does that make sense? So for you, I would suggest find other things that you're doing. Find other things. I know you used to play hockey, yeah? Is that true?
I did.
Yeah. If you love playing hockey, and just even if you're playing it seriously or not so seriously, if you go do it and enjoy it, that'd be one thing. Or for me, learning improvisational comedy was huge for me, right? Because it's another social exercise. It's another way for me to become more funny, more interesting, more on my own path. And it actually made me better with girls, almost more than just directly learning pickup did, because I'd already been doing pickup for 8 years. Okay, so a lot of things like that can help you. So that's another way. Any of those things, hip-hop dance class was another one. Anything you can do to be on your purpose, anything you can do to be improving yourself. Mountain climbing, sports, business, whatever it is. Whatever you're learning, be into something. I was into poker for a while, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And that actually helped my game, right? The fact that I thought I was a badass poker player, I came with that identity rather than being like the pickup artist identity. And that helped, because now I had something else to talk to girls about. Right? So the more you can just make yourself rich as a human being, you don't have to be fucking 6 other girls just like to prove to yourself that you can, especially when you've done it before. Going out and doing it once is a good idea. Like going out and just proving to yourself you can do it, going out and proving yourself you can gangster it up and like fuck a different girl every night of the week, that's always fun. And that's good for I think that's good for your core self-confidence on some level. But like you don't have to do it constantly, right? You don't have to do it to the point where, okay, this is embarrassing. But I've had times like in the recent past where I was hooking up with so many girls that like my penis was sore, okay? Like that's excessive. You don't need to go to that level. You don't need to do it just to do it. All right, the other topic I want to talk about, which you kind of brought up with that question too. You guys are familiar with the phrase offering value? Yeah? Does anybody know what that means? Does anybody actually, I mean, we all kind of intuitively, we know when we're doing it, we know when we're not. It's like the definition of pornography. I don't know what it is, but I can't define it, but I know it when I see it, right? But what is offering value? Can anybody define it? If I tell a girl I hate her and she gets turned on by it, did I offer her value?
Yeah.
Depends on like what you meant when you did it.
Fair enough. So it's a very, the point I'm getting at here is it's all very fluid. It's very like, did you mean this? Was it that? Was it the other? Whatever, right? And we talk about offering value, but then what is value? What is value? How do you define value, okay? And it's interesting because there are some things that inherently people societally do view as value. They say like money is value, which I agree with. You can exchange it for things. It's like the very definition of value, sure, that's value. Status, prestige, big penis, good sex, these are all, potentially value. But what is it that we can do in an interaction that becomes value? What makes an interaction value or not value? And the way I've broken it down, and I had to break this down actually, because I had a student one time who he basically said, look, okay, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the best looking guy. I'm not like, I don't have the best job. I don't make that much money. I'm not the most, attractive guy. I don't have the best experience with women. I'm not the best guy in bed. I look at it and really, why would a girl want to be with me? That was his legitimate outlook. Why would a girl really want to be with me? I don't really have that much to offer.
A lot of guys.
Yeah, a lot of guys probably do feel that way.
Majority of guys probably.
Probably. I mean, depending what sort of what weight class you're punching in, right? There's always someone richer than you. There's always someone better looking than you. There's always someone who has had more sex than you, or there's always someone who has a bigger penis than you, or whatever, right? I mean, unless you're a porn star, and I don't know. The point is, yeah, that's true for everybody. So what I had to break down for him is, yeah, exactly how can you offer value if you're not the ultimate guy? Like, why? In a certain sense, you could almost argue that to do the nice thing for a girl, you should just go find a guy better than yourself and just be like, here she is for you. Right? No guy's ever going to do that. But you could make that argument that if you really cared about the girl, that's what you should do. So what I'm basically saying is, every one of you, if you have any girls on your phone, you should just give me their numbers, turn them over to me. Huh? Yes. Yes, actually I am. I believe that too. I'm narcissistic as fuck. I believe that. But what is value? And the way I broke it down is this. Take a second, everybody in this room, and think about what it is that you value. Think about the characteristics that you, and try not to make them physical characteristics. Make them behavior, attitude, or belief characteristics. Try and think about the things you value in yourself. The things that you're proud of. And the things that you value in other people. The things that if somebody says they are a certain way, it makes you go, that's kind of cool. I appreciate that. I respect that. Think about what those values are. All right? And you don't have to, nobody has to say, but just think about those for a second. All right? Those are your values. Also think about the things that if somebody says them, or if you say them about yourself, you immediately, like, if you say them about yourself, you kind of feel dirty for saying it. You're like, not quite right. Or if someone else says it, you're like, I just kind of lost respect for you for saying that. Right? So we all have our inherent value system, right? We have traits that we value, traits that we don't value, right? And that's born of experience. Basically out of our, I don't know, between 20 and 50 years of life experience, probably on average in this room, we have a set of values that have gotten us through life, that have made us successful to the point that we are. We have a model of the world that works for us and that gets us through things, okay? That's incredibly valuable. That's incredibly valuable. Do you realize your model of the world, your view of the way that the world works, is more valuable than your bank account? It's more valuable than your appearance. It's more valuable than the clothes you wear, the car you drive. It's more valuable than anything. It is what allows you to function in the world. That is based on your experience, and that is based on your values. Okay? So because you've been punished for doing certain things by the world doesn't reward you when you're lazy and don't put in effort, then you don't get, good things back. You learn to not be lazy. Because you learn that when you put all kinds of shit in your body, you get fat, and when you put good things in your body, you get chiseled. You've learned to take care of your body, right? And you have this set of experiences and this set of value systems that have gotten you through the world. Now, how many of you think that's a pretty valuable thing in your life, that you have that? How many of you think your life would be pretty fucked if you didn't have that? All right? Now, how many of you think that if you could share that information with somebody else, that information would be valuable to them? Yeah, absolutely. How many people, as you walk through life, you see people, and you look at them and their life is just a train wreck, and you just wish, well, maybe you don't care, but if you care about them, you wish that you could just tell them something that would help them through it, that would make their life better, and you know that you could. If you just opened up and if they could see the world through your eyes for a second, if they could just glance through your eyes at themselves for 30 seconds, it would change their entire life. It absolutely would, right? That's the power of you and your value system, all right? So what I'm suggesting to you is that what value is the fact that you are a person with values. Value is the fact that you have this life experience and you have these beliefs and these understandings about the world, and you are capable of sharing them, okay? So every time that you speak in a way that shares that, that is when you're offering value, okay? If you talk about what you believe, you're offering value. If you give a perspective that's unique about something, like if I say that wall is white, I'm not offering value. But if I say that wall reminds me of this movie I saw where blah, 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 blah happened and it affected me in this way, I'm communicating to you, not directly, but obliquely, I'm communicating what my life experience has been, what I value, what I find interesting, what I find beautiful. By conveying that, I am now offering value. If I say, where are you from? I'm not offering value. I have not shared with you anything of my values, anything of my experience, anything of my unique life. But if I say, you don't seem like you're from around here, you seem very East Coast, I'm offering a little more value. Because now I'm giving a unique perspective. I'm giving something that they couldn't have gotten somewhere else. Do you understand that? You guys get that? Yeah.
How does that communicate even on a non-verbal level?
Okay. Interesting.
Because I heard they say communication's only
Right.
verbal. So what about the other 85% that's mixed up in there, you know?
Sure. I would say that that's, first of all, an interesting question that I've never actually considered from that perspective, so I like that question a lot. I would say, though, that you're communicating your values by the way you walk through the world, right? If you walk up confidently, you're saying to someone that you value confidence and that you believe that the world is a nice place, right? If you walk into a set and you open it strong and you bust through the wall, what are you conveying to the world? You're conveying that the world is a nice place where people should respect other people and people should treat people well, right? That's your value system through that action, because that's what you're conveying, how you've been treated in the past. Does that make sense? Or if a girl says something you don't like and you like give her that look, you're conveying your value system through that look, through that communication. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I would say that a lot of it does come through obliquely as well. And actually, that's an interesting thing to think about.
Like, for example, you're talking about that set where you didn't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
and you were to go for 30 minutes, so it's not like you're really offering her your life experiences.
Right.
You're kind of just offering her, I guess, the summation of those life experiences in your
Mm-hmm.
expressions.
Yeah, in that case, I'm offering her my ability to have fun and not care, right? Which is a value system. It is a value.
Yeah.
I'm also offering her the fact, my life experience of the dance, right? Basically, a lot of what I did with her was dancing with her, right? So I'm offering her my life experience of I've been with however many 100 girls, and basically, I'm giving her that experience. I'm sharing it with her. So that's another life experience, right? Sex is another way that you can offer value as a life experience if you're good at it or if you're practiced at it, right? It's another thing you can offer. And that's basically what I was offering her in that case. Or that knowing look or the judgmental stare, absolutely. It's all there. It's all there. That's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. It's actually less easy to define that way. It's less overt, but I would say, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Definitely. So does that idea of offering value make sense to everybody? All right? Cool. And I think that's one of the biggest things that guys don't do. When guys get in their head, what do? They just stop offering value. Right? If you can force yourself, even if you're in your head, to just offer whatever value is in your head at that moment, you'll be fine. How many of you guys on the, I think he showed it this time. Have you guys seen the hot seat video where Julian basically like tells the girl he's in his head? It's like, I'm so in my head, this is so whack, this isn't going well. He basically just calls it out and just talks about it, right? Because in that moment, rather than just clamming up and locking up and be like, okay, in my head, I'm not gonna do anything, so I don't wanna fuck up, I don't wanna make mistakes. He just owns the fact that he's in his head, says, look, that's my life experience at this moment. I'm still going to just offer my own unique perspective to the situation. Okay? So it doesn't always have to be good. In fact, another thing Ryan will do, he's the big proponent of whatever mood you're in, approach in that mood rather than trying to fake it. Right? You can even be like, look, I'm really sad today. I'm actually really depressed, but hi, I'm here. I wanted to talk to you. You're cute. I don't even really know what to say to you. I wish I did. I mean, I wish that we could have that beautiful, glorious interaction that just pops, but it's not going to be me right now. But, hi, I'm here. All right? And it's totally fine. It just works his game. Right? It's obviously not quite as good as he was like, hey, yeah, you know how to party, you come here, blah, 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 blah. That kind of thing, all high energy, all happy. Right? That's always better. Or if he was just dominant, you, bitch, get over here. Right? That works too. But if he's not in that frame, if he's feeling shitty and submissive and he tries to act dominant, be like, bitch, come here, right? It's not going to work because it's not where he's actually at. And that wouldn't be offering value anymore. It'd be trying to manipulate. It'd be trying to like twist the round peg into the square hole and just make something happen. Okay? So don't try to manipulate, just try to offer value. Okay? All right, the other thing in terms of going back to the hot girl thing to come, I don't know, full circle maybe. I don't know if we're full circle yet, is be willing to push the girls away a lot, more than you think is necessary. You want them chasing you hard, because hot girls, they're used to guys having some level of game. They're used to guys having some form of like technique and ability, and they're used to even getting turned on. But what they usually won't do, how many of you guys have noticed that with like a 7 or an 8, or like a 6 even more so probably, like when they get IOIs for you, they'll giggle a lot, they'll touch you a lot more, they'll be willing to get close to you, they'll be a lot easier to make out with, Whereas if you've gamed like 9s and 10s, even when it's a good set, even sets you end up like taking the girls home, a lot of times it just feels cold by comparison. Have you guys noticed that? You guys had that similar experience?
Yeah.
What is with that? I'll tell you that.
It's like a high status because to me it's just like some communication, like little shit basically.
Yeah.
It's like super cool, whatever.
Yeah, I would say it's a few different things. They probably actually do get that way for some guys, first of all. Like for like a celebrity, girls probably still, like at 9 or 10 probably still does get kind of giggly or whatever because they feel that huge value gap. Whereas like if you have good game and you're gaming like a 7 or an 8, you have that huge value gap, so they'll actually give into it. I would say, this is a Tyler theory, not a me theory. He came up with it, so I'll give him credit. He basically said that it's a trained behavior that they get over time, because if they were to react positively and give indicators of interest to guys, it would help guys game them better. See what I'm saying?
You also think like that maybe when they're younger they were friendlier to like guys and like I can't even be friendly because like
Maybe.
just like so together.
Yeah, it's quite possible because they're getting so much attention, right? The other thing is like, look, a hot girl can't fuck every guy she meets. She just can't, right? She has to be really selective. And she's had a lot of shit thrown at her. She's had a lot of good game even thrown at her. And so basically, it's almost like an inherent test where if a girl gives you indicators of interest, it's going to put you in state, it's going to give you something to play off, it's going to make the set easier for you, it's going to give you material to work with, and it's going to give you good emotions. Whereas if she's not giving you those good emotions, you're truly forced to self-amuse. You're truly forced to lead 100% of the way the entire way, right? So it's almost like the ultimate shit test. It is almost like the ultimate shit test. The other theory on it, and I actually like this theory a lot, have you ever heard Alex's where he says, what does interest look like? What does attraction look like?
Silent and attentive.
Silent and attentive. Silent and attentive. That's what hot girls do when they actually get turned on, right? That's what they're really doing. It's quiet and attentive. But they're making you do the work, right? Why? Because they're probably not used to doing the work. They're probably not. Have you ever seen, I mean, you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen this, when the girl gets turned on, the girl that you worked so hard for, and all of a sudden the switch gets flipped and she gets turned on, and all of a sudden she starts gaming you with the worst, lamest game you've ever seen in your entire life. It's like, so where are you from? So what's your sign? Right? I don't even like tolerate that from girls anymore. As soon as girls do that, I just like bust on them so hard for it. It's retarded. Like a girl goes, where are you from? I'm like, really? All the questions in the English language, and that's what you chose to ask me? Really? I'm really impressed by you. If a girl says, what's your sign? Because that what's your sign really pisses me off. Because I was a professional poker player, right? I was a professional poker player. I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in chance. There's a phrase in gambling. They say it's unlucky to be superstitious, right? Very fucking true. But anyway, all these people that believe in like fate, chance, they believe in like getting the lucky seat at the poker table instead of playing good poker. So whenever someone says, what's your sign? It reminds me of that. I'm like fucking turned off so bad. Like it literally like ends it for me with a girl. But so yeah, if a girl says, what's your sign? I say, nice meeting you. Or I say, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that and please don't ever bring that up again. Like I'm really harsh with them, like unnecessarily harsh. But it works. It works. And it gets them to behave in the way that I want them to behave. All right, so that's the point. All right, I'll take one more real fast.
I was just gonna say, are you harder with other girls?
Yes, definitely, because they need it. Yes. When they like it, but they need it.
When do you do that?
Okay, so here's the difference. Say that, I'll go back to a canned game example, all right, just because it illustrates it really well. I'm not suggesting to use canned game, but it's a good example. So we had this line back in the day, you and I would not get along, right? How many of you guys have heard that line in game? It's a really good line, amazing line. You and I would not get along, great line, right? Now, if I would have said that to a girl that I think I already have value over, like she already is at a lower status level than me, she's already chasing me a little bit, I'd say, you know what? There's a little part of me that thinks that maybe you and I might not get along, right? I say it very soft, right? I still say the same content, but I say it really soft, right? If I said it to like a really hot girl, like, you and I are not gonna fucking get along, right? Very harsh, right? Difference between I think that sort of maybe we won't, and you and I are not going to get along, and then ignore, right? That was the version that the hot girl gets. Same thing with say a less hot girl. If she says something I disapprove of, I'd be like, you know what, you really shouldn't say that. It's not really the coolest thing to say, right? With a hot girl, I'm like, it's nice meeting you. You can go now. Right? Difference. Icy cold as opposed to kind of nice and letting them stay in, right? Because the hot girl needs to know you can walk away. She needs to know that because guys can't walk away from her. And the interesting thing is, sadly, you probably have to communicate to her that you can walk away more strongly with her, because fact of the matter is you probably really don't want to walk away. I mean, let's be real. If you've been talking to a really hot girl for half an hour and it's going well, how many of you guys are really actually willing to walk away at that moment? A few? Maybe? Okay, cool. I'll see it in field. If you guys a lot of people will say it, a lot of people won't do it. But it's tough. It's much tougher, right? Tougher with a 10 than with a 6 at the very least, right? No? All right, these guys, everybody look at these guys. These guys are ultra pimps.
You gotta be like the Joker, just run it out, put it on.
There you go. Point is, it's not easy to do. And the other point is that guys don't do it, right? And guys will do it half-assed too. Guys will do the half-assed takeaway, right? The hot girl goes like, why are you even talking to me or whatever? And they'll be like, oh, it's cool, I'll leave now. Right? Like, I'll leave, I'll pretend like I'm late, but I'm right back. Here I am. I'm right back. I wasn't going anywhere. It's cool. Right? It's a subtle thing. Like, you're doing it because it's the right move, but you're not doing it with real commitment. Right? Or they'll say to the girl, they'll be like, okay, yeah, it was nice talking to you. You can go now. So anyway, as opposed to, yeah, it was nice talking to you. See you later. No, really, bye. Why are you still here? Right? To actually mean it and actually push them away. Right? It's actually tough. And you'll be amazed when you do that. When you actually do that, the enormous reactions you get from it and the enormous amount of they'll chase you after that, whereas they wouldn't before. When you actually truly are willing to let them go. Right? It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see if you can make a distinction. So you're saying that you walk away as soon as they do something you disapprove, right?
Not every time.
So, okay, let me ask you this. Say that you are in a 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, 9 comes in. And based on, everybody noticed her, if you get up at that point, you're just chit-chatting with them a little bit, you get up and game the 9,
Mm-hmm.
is that going to help you, or do you think it's going to spark more attraction, or do you think you all just play, or...
Are you talking about how the 7s are going to react to the fact that you're gaming the 9? Or are you talking about whether the fact that you're with the 7s is going to help you with the 9? Or are you talking about something completely different?
No, because you're saying, okay, so you're willing to walk away.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I'd rather walk away and game the 9.
Uh-huh.
Because the 7s, for me, the 9 saw me with the 7.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm still taking a chance on the 9, right? But if that one close, what if I come back with the 7s? Did I spark more attraction? Do you think you can chase me, or is that...
Okay. Remember what I said at the start about not trying to make it work? Right? If you're trying to make it work, it won't work. If you're trying to do it as a technique, it won't work. If you do it because you genuinely feel it, it will work. If you go after the 9 because you just want to talk to the 9 and you don't give a fuck about the 7s, it'll work with all of them. It'll work completely fine. Also realize, actually that's an interesting thing to talk about, because that was one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest struggles for me, was that situation, almost that exact situation. Say you're with a girl that's like 8'5", like very cute girl. 8'5" is like celebrity hot. Let's be real, like a celebrity done up is an 8 that looks like a 10, basically, and has fame, right? So 8'5" is a hot girl, right? And then you see like the turbo 10 walk by you. And this 8, it's pretty on. You're like a 50-50, I could take her home, right? And then the turbo walks by. Interesting moral question. Interesting philosophical question. Do I stick with the bird in the hand, or do I go for like the hot one in the bush, right? Tough question. The interesting thing with that, though, is realize that you can oftentimes go back and reapproach. Oftentimes. Now, in a crazy club where you might not find the girl again, you can't, because you won't find her to reapproach her. But realize that just because you walked away from the 7s and go talk to the 9, it doesn't look bad. It's fine. It's totally fine. In fact, it's like higher value. You may have to apologize later, but it's not like a low value, low status move, especially if the approach goes anything remotely like well. Or even if you get blown out and you're just amused by it and just go back. It's totally fine. It actually doesn't really matter. Okay? So don't get attached to that. But more important than even whether it works or not, even more important than even the question you're asking about, does it affect things, is do you care whether it affects things? Stop caring. Seriously, stop caring about how any one set goes ever. Ever, ever, ever. All right? Treat this as a lifelong process. Treat the game not as if you're in it to get a girl. Treat the game as if you're in it for life. Right? Now, fact of the matter is, you may not be in it for life. Right? Fact of the matter is, you may settle down, may get married, you may get some sort of social situation where girls just come to you. All those are great. But treat it like you're in it for life. Treat it like you're in it for as long as you need to be. Okay? You're in it for however long it takes to get to the level you want to get to. You don't have to get there in a hurry. Right? It's like if you go to the gym. If you go to the gym and you try and like put on like 20 pounds of muscle in 6 months, what's going to happen? Probably get injured, right? You either get like fat from too many like shakes that you're putting protein in, you're not burning all the calories, or you get injured, or maybe both, right? One of the two. You just can't do it that fast. You can't be in that hurry. You can't be like caring about the immediate outcome. Also, like if you're in the gym and you're like checking your body fat percentage, like every single, sorry, I have a friend who has a body fat meter that's like this, so that's what this gesture is. But you're checking your body fat, and he actually checked it like every day. So anyway, if you're checking it every day, that's pointless because it's not going to change that fast, right? You don't need that continual feedback every single day. You don't need that continual improvement because you're not even going to improve every day, right? You can go out every day for a week and be worse on day 6 than you were on day 1. It happens sometimes. Deal with it, right? Treat it as a lifelong process. Treat it as a process of you're getting to the point where you can get any girl you want to, not as a process of I got to the point where I could get this one girl and then that's it, right? By the way, once you can get that one girl, the next week or the next month, you're going to get a girl hotter than her anyway, or equally hot, or equally cool, or whatever it is that does it for you, okay? Once you can get her, once you've actually earned it, you're going to get it over and over and over again, so it doesn't really matter. So for like, say if you're in the set with those 4 7s, right? Okay, and then you see the 9. Hey, I'm sleeping with God knows how many 7s, 8s, 9s, whatever already. Do I really need them? Is it really going to make my life better? No. So it's actually easy for me to go game the 9 now because of that abundance, because I'm treating it as a long-term process. Okay? So that's my process on that. Okay, I'll take 1 or 2 more questions. What I want to do, though, because this is an inner circle event, what I actually want to do, instead of me taking questions at the front of the room, I want to break you guys up into groups, and we'll do sort of little roundtable discussion groups for the questions as well. So I want you guys to be getting together and answering your own questions and building sort of a community feel to all this.
What is your definition of charisma?
What is my definition of charisma? Wow. Well, I guess the literal definition of charisma would be that people want to be around you and want to follow you, right? That's the effect definition. But if you're asking what creates charisma, I would say what creates charisma is when you are happy and fun and offering value and not leeching. Not leeching being, well, not, how about actively non-leeching? How's that? Because some guys are passively non-leeching, they're just inert. They're just like, they never do anything. They're not taking value from anyone, but they're not actually putting themselves into the world. And then there are people who are actually putting themselves into the world in a positive way. I would say that's charisma. I would say most anybody who I've ever seen that does that probably does have friends and does have some sort of following on some level. So quick and dirty, off the top of my head, decent definition. All right, last one.
What are your thoughts on texting? Right
Thoughts
now,
on text?
Texting.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of sick of it right now.
You're sick of it right now?
So your post intake and
All right, text game. Quick and dirty on text game. Realize that texting and phone is a tool. Right? You don't get a phone number as a trophy, you get a phone number as a tool to get from A to B. And the B in this case is a date or a meetup of some kind where you can actually fuck the girl. Okay? So it's a tool, not a trophy. That said, you want to get to that end as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So don't be that guy that like gets too into the texting or gets too into like going over and over with it or just becomes her text buddy. That's number 1, okay? Number 2, realize that there's 2 types of texts. There's texts that offer value and build the interaction, and there's texts that try and close. Okay? You want to try and close as soon as possible, but no sooner. Does that make sense? Once she is giving you overtly positive responses, once she's responding quickly, once she's double texting you, that sort of stuff, then you want to try and close. But if you're not getting anything back, if you're getting a one-word answer back to like a sentence-long text, or if she's responding 2 days later all the time, or not responding at all, that's not a time to try and close. Okay? The other thing with text and phone game, I say, is if you can get the girl on the phone, that's always better than text. Okay? Because first of all, you can get way more conversation done in a way shorter period of time over the phone. You can set plans on the phone way better than you can over text. All right? If you text a girl, let's do Thursday night at 8, and you don't get a response back, you don't know whether 8 o'clock's a problem, you don't know if Thursday night's the problem, you don't know if she never wants to see you. All right? But if you get her on the phone and you talk to her, you can feel it out. And also, even if she doesn't want to see you, you can make her laugh, you can make her have a fun time, you can make it cool, and then you can maybe get her to see you. So to me, the point of text is to set a date if it's on, but the point of text is to get it to phone, the point of phone is to get it to a date. Okay? So one really good trick that I like, I don't know how tricky it is right the moment they text you something back, if it's a time you can, is call them right then. Just get them on the phone, right? Because you know they're sitting by their phone at that moment. So that's one, because I don't like endless texting. I'm not that great at texting, but I'm amazing on the phone. Excuse me, I'm really, really good on the phone. So I'll get the girl on the phone, right? That's my particular text game. So what I do, I meet a girl, I'll send her something like get home safe or some value, like just like easy, soft value offering text. Maybe I'll send the next day like a callback. If there's a callback humor that's good, like I had a girl that I met that was like a patent lawyer, and so I texted her the next day, if I can't get you out of my head, do I owe you like royalties or something like that, right? Which I thought was cute because it's a good callback in that particular case. But if I don't have a callback, then I just send something just like off the cuff, just like what sort of trouble are you causing today? No big deal, not asking a lot, not too much, right? Pretty value offering. Or another one that I did, this was a mass text I sent to a lot of different girls. I said, just hired 4 interns in my pajamas. How they got in my pajamas, I'll never know. Right? It's not asking for a response. The point of a text like that is it just is a little bit amusing. It's not even a good joke. It's a shitty joke. But it's just amusing yourself, just putting it out there. And if you don't get a response to that, it's not like the set's over. Right? If she doesn't respond to that, you can send her something else the next day or 2 days later or no big deal. All right? Because you didn't ask her for anything. Whereas if you go, let's hang out tonight, how does 8 o'clock in Santa Monica work for you? And you don't get a response to that, now you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. And then you send the next day, where are you? Question mark. Do you want to hang out? It's just a snowball effect where it gets worse and worse and worse. So don't send a text where if you get a no response to it, it'll kill the interaction. Last quick tip, if you're escalating, like on texts where you're suggesting a get-together or suggesting a meetup, it's a good idea if that's not the only thing going on in the text. Right? Like if you say some little funny comment and then let's meet up at 8 and then some little funny comment is really good, because if they don't want to meet up at 8 but there's no funny comment or no other thing to the text, there's nothing for them to respond to, so that their answer is either yes for 8 or no for anything. Whereas if you say like, you want to hang out at 8, by the way, I saw the funniest thing at the Dodgers game or whatever, or by the way, check out this picture from whatever, then at least if they don't want to do the 8 thing, but they're still into you, or there's still a possibility with you, or they just don't want to kill it, at least they can still respond to the other part of the text. So that's another kind of trick when you're escalating, you're not quite sure where you're at. But that's just kind of quick and dirty off the top of my head. I could do kind of a lengthy lecture on text game. Also, I did do, I have a video online where I cover text game much more extensively, so look that up too on RSD Nation.
That's awesome video, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it.